My name is Dr. Rick Seguil.
And action. Hey, Jay had a... This is Kirk And action. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick. And today's Minute Clinic question is from Carmen. Carmen had a question about what to do in reversing her COVID belly. Her symptoms are terrible, and I attributed a lot of it to this last couple of weeks of sheltering. There is a viral exposure that can be surging right now, but even if you didn't have the virus or get sick, just screwing up with the circadian rhythm really screwed up everybody's gut. And I do believe, and I'll present to you why I think if we force our circadian rhythm back into place, you should be able to lose weight. As easy as that. So if this is the first time you're finding me, subscribe. If you like this, pass it on later. So the idea is what to do. Let's just come up with what has happened. So most of us, even if you're a stay-at-home parent from 2019 back, we all have a schedule. We have a rhythm. The kids have a rhythm. They crash at a certain time, and then they wake up at a certain time. They can be alarm clocks for a lot of my parents. I wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every day, no matter what. I also go to sleep really early, 9 o'clock usually. I try to not eat when I get into work till 12 noon to 1, and that's it. But when COVID happened, number one, for personally, the stress of having to be called into a hospital system where I thought I might die from COVID, kind of stressful. Number two, the schedule is off. Everybody was home and you couldn't leave the house. And when the schedule is thrown off at home, eating patterns thrown off. You're usually ready for everybody kind of gathering for breakfast, but eating lunch on your own wherever you are, school, work, wherever, and then having dinner hopefully together. And that's it. But when the template is broken and you're watching what is almost an infinity of hours of watching TV, my God, there's so many things that are available. And it's like, ooh, I remember that movie from the 70s. Oh, that had Top Gun. Oh, great. And that has thrown a monkey wrench into mine and I think everybody else's timing. So when the timing is off, then there's something of an oscillation that I'm going to touch on with Sachin Panda's work, but might as well talk about it now. So this guy, Sachin Panda, really great guy. He does a lot of animal studies with mice, but it can be extrapolated. It's the first, phase one studies are always great when they're talking about animals. His previous studies have shown that, and he did fasting studies with animals. A lot of great data about what happens to the microbiota or the bacteria in the colon and small intestine when you fast or when you starve an animal, and how it can be useful. The idea of what happens is if you have the eyes that tell you it's daytime and then they tell you it's nighttime, then you have that rhythm. That's an oscillating rhythm that's everywhere in the world. That oscillating rhythm, and then you also have the feeding oscillating rhythm, the gut. Whenever you stimulate the gut, usually that's 3 times a day. That's what it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, what happens with the 3 meals is, I'll show you how they're correlated, these two little oscillating rhythm strips. But sometimes the meals, you have a little snack and a little snack and a little beverage. So actually you have 5 meals. I know that the little snack might just be a French fry or a piece of chocolate at night or a Coke. But you just triggered, in its basic physiology, when you have big meals, you trigger insulin. When you have a taste, you still trigger insulin, especially if it's a French fry or something with a lot of sugar in it, high fructose corn syrup, 1 can, a half a can. You've just triggered nonstop insulin spikes all throughout the day. Now, with regards to the schedule of eating and inducing acid and insulin, peristalsis, well, there's a time to that. That's oscillating too. And so is the sleep. The eyes seeing day and night. These two are locked together so that if you have them both together, you are beautiful. The white blood cells work, the gut works, the digestive system absorbs properly, you poop properly, you rebuild muscle when you work out, you can rest muscle at night, you can rest the brain because you slept great. So it's dependent on that rhythm being the same. Nighttime, daytime, eat. Nighttime, daytime, eat. Say you have what some people could consider social hangover because the sleep and wake cycle's screwed up. What happens? Well, you have people falling asleep at the wheel. That's not good. You have the Exxon Valdez. That's not good either. Or you have people just gaining weight because the message is screwed up. And that's what happens with my firefighters, my nurses that work overnight, my police officers who have to do a third shift, my third shift guys who have to do that kind of life 5 days a week and try to revert back to normal on the weekend. That's tough. When the body system is used to day and night, but then you force it to stay awake or eat different hours that it's not supposed to be eating, you just split the units of oscillating food as a trigger for telling the body what time it is, and nighttime, daytime from the eyes telling the body and brain what time it is. You just split that, and when it's split, you got the body going through haphazard problems as far as, do I store, do I burn, do I build? So the idea usually is overnight you store, during the day you burn. And that's the 30,000 foot view, really, and that's where obesity comes. Body's not gonna know, do I store, do I build? Just store. Awesome. Not only do you get fat, gain weight, get bloated, but you also have a digestive system that doesn't know what it's supposed to do. So when you eat something, it goes into your stomach, the stomach starts to churn, breaks it down, almost like a food blender, and then sends it down to the small intestine. The small intestine pulses it, gets it to absorb, gets all the nutrients in that thing called chyme or vomit to be pulled out of the vomit, and then sends it down to the colon, and you make poop. You feed the bacteria down there, you have decreased inflammation. Really cool. Problem is, if you throw your timing off and the sleep-wake cycle doesn't jive with the eating cycle, then things will happen where it doesn't go in that, when you eat something, it doesn't go in that nice stepwise approach. You get a lot of reflux because the body thinks you're going to be running. I'm not supposed to be digesting, or do I digest or do I run? And it just sends it back up, reflux. Or it doesn't know when you're supposed to poop, so it just holds it for days. That's not good either. So Carmen taking 8 to 10 grams of Senna just to poop every other day. Great data from the American Heart Association doing reviews on, skipping breakfast. At least the reviews, I think, are more biased to not skip breakfast. But the reason I brought it up was that there is data that shows that, number one, we're eating too much as Americans regarding sugar and empty calories and carbohydrates. We're pushing the envelope with the amount of energy that we're eating. Number two, we're getting into a society where you might just skip a breakfast unintentionally because you're too busy. And I do think the data from the AHA's review says that when you skip a breakfast, it sometimes leads to problems later on down the line. My take is that when you skip breakfast unintentionally because you're in a hurry, you're throwing the timing off. And when you just do it unintentionally, the likelihood is later on in the day, if you skip because you didn't have time, like on Monday, later on in the day, you're going to be craving and you're going to be very angry that you didn't have time to enjoy breakfast, and you're going to ravagely eat everything at home without any regard to stop. And that's when you overeat. That's not good. So my contention is that even though the American Heart Association said most of the data, it's plus minus, but most of the data they're pointing to is saying stick with breakfast, I say that if you're going to try fasting, because I love fasting, I think fasting, even with the FMD, the information from Longo about inducing a fast, or Jason Fung with the obesity code, he induces fasting. When you induce it and you have it regulated, has not going to do anything from 8:30 at night until 12 noon, 16-hour fast. When you intentionally set that for 16, I do think that since you set that keynote to say, I'm not going to do it, this is the schedule I'm going to follow, I'm going to miss breakfast intentionally, I don't think you'll binge the night of. So even though the American Heart Association said make breakfast, I think the new information, and it's prospective nowadays, the new information is reliably saying that it's okay to skip, but you have to have the intention set. And then you have the intention at night that I have to stop eating at this time because I'm going to prep for the next day. I think that you have a rhythm there established. When there's a rhythm, the gut knows what to do. When the gut knows what to do, then it won't absorb as much crap, honestly. So That's one thing that I think has really been thrown off by the COVID times because we're stuck at home. But back in the beginning, kids were still in school, but they were doing school via videos. So there was some semblance of timing for the kids. Now it's summer, and it's kind of still entering into phase 4-ish now. So reestablish your timing. Even if you don't have a great circadian rhythm, know that if you're all home, or if you're a parent, don't let them do what they have to do, but be regimented with them. And you guys do what you have to do. If you don't have any kids, be regimented with when it's time to eat, when it's time to stop. Sync. If the gut is back in sync with 3 meals a day and that's it, and then you get back in sync with getting back to the workforce, regular work hours, hopefully all daytime and not nighttime, then you have the combination of the oscillations of the eye detecting whether it's day or night. That's one rhythm. And then the feeding of the gastrointestinal tract, that's another rhythm. You have them working together, you're bulletproof. That's the way we're supposed to be able to beat disease and live till 100. But when they're apart, then you have a dichotomy. The default is the body will store everything. It'll just say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's daytime, nighttime, eat time, starvation time, fasting time. I'm just going to store everything. And then you have an insulin spike, and see my videos on insulin resistance, which is what most of my patients have nowadays. So I'll put that link down below. We eat too much. Be very wise with what you're going to eat. Whether it's keto or vegan or paleo or fasting, stick with it. But be healthy. Don't get crappy stuff. Get the sugar out of there. Screw the sugar. Get the beverages out of there. I know they're tasty, but they just don't do anything except for add disease. Please. Everybody knows the benefits of fiber. Even in the American Heart Association review, they talk about the benefits of fiber. Increasing fiber usually will decrease the onset significantly of type 2 diabetes. Now that's observational studies like Framingham. You can't ignore observational. I'm not sure if it's causation, but I think it's still worth understanding that the more fiber you have, and again, these guys, this group breaks it down nicely. The more fiber you have, soluble or insoluble, the viscous soluble or the insoluble stuff that you feed your bacteria with in the colon, the lower you reabsorb cholesterol, the easier the transit time is for the gut to go moving. And just to tie this all in, Carmen was gaining weight, she was refluxing, so the food was coming back up and she wouldn't poop. So if we wanted to reestablish that rhythm of poop, increasing fiber might be another way to do it, and healthy fiber. So most people think that fruits, vegetables are healthy. They are healthy. Some of my keto guys won't do fruit, and I understand why. Diabetics, really, if you look at most fruits are okay. If you have to take into account the amount of fiber in the fruit, not only that it has fructose, but there is fiber. And it's natural fiber and energy, and I think if you balance it out, I wouldn't do all fruit. I would use real food. I would chew as much as possible because it starts the rhythm. If you start the rhythm on a 3-time-a-day basis, if you add some fiber, and you can do that in keto too, but my vegans or my non-keto guys, just try to add fiber. And I have some videos on fiber too. 30 grams a day is the minimum that you should be doing. So just as an example, everybody says, oh, I had a bowl of cereal. Cereal is like 6 grams. I think Special K might have 10, maybe max. And that's 10 grams of fiber on your way to 30. If that's the only fiber you have, you need to boost that up. I think I don't remember which country, there was one of the healthiest countries in the world. They would, I think, average 70 grams of fiber per day, and that was spectacular. And it's not like they're pooping every 5 minutes. That's a healthy gut. You know, the only problem with carnivore diet is I think you're decreasing the fiber too much, and that gut needs fiber. By adding fiber, you can, and by timing your meals, you can help get the crap out of you. Not only crap, in the form of stool, but you'll also feed. Insoluble fiber, as you eat it, insoluble means you can't digest it. And if it gets all the way down, and I think roughage, just think of that picture that roughage, cleaning out all the lining of the small intestine and getting to the colon. Well, the bacteria, if you have good bacteria that are commensal with you, when you feed it insoluble fiber, those good bacteria will produce good anti-inflammatory byproducts. If you have nothing but bad bacteria, you'll have inflammatory markers increase. So it's important to get the right fiber. It is important to get the right bacteria. I'll probably do a video next on microbiota. I follow Justin Sonnenberg. I like his work, in addition to Sachin Panda's. So bottom line is, if you get the fiber and you feed the microbiota, you decrease inflammation, you get your timing going, you pull also bad hormone. You can secrete cholesterol, extra cholesterol, broken down testosterone, estrogen in your poop, but when there's not enough fiber, you reabsorb those hormones again. So having more fiber dumps all those hormones out into the toilet. Having more fiber helps with timing and gastric emptying. Having more fiber feeds microbiota, so you have less inflammation. Having more fiber also decreases the chances for type 2 diabetes by old school research. So final thing is, having more fiber also increases satiety. When you have satiety, then you can space out those meals. When you're not satiated and you're hungry, like skipping the breakfast in the morning, sometimes the message goes to the brain, or like ghrelin increases from the stomach. You get growling, I want to eat fast. And then you wind up overeating. So satiety signals with fiber, whether you do fasting, whether you do keto with a hint of fiber, or whether you're a vegan but you're choosing your fiber. Fiber, I think, is important, but it still helps give the signals of satiety. And that's a whole different talk, but I have done a video on ghrelin growl, so check that out. But so hopefully, Carmen, increasing the fiber, getting the sleep cycle back, getting the wake cycle back, getting the meals timed properly, maybe adding a little fasting like what Sachin Panda and Fung had come up with intermittent fasting. I think that will reset the gut so that you're not absorbing too much. Get more fiber in, get your timing going. Hold when you're supposed to hold, enjoy, get some sleep, and hopefully we can all lose a little bit of weight and get back to regularity if there is going to be regular again. I have a handful of people who actually lost weight during COVID times. I'm so proud of them. I'm also very jealous. But we'll all get there eventually, and we have to, because this crap's going to happen again. The same efforts of being healthy with lifestyle will prevent the stroke, the heart attack, and the cancer that's coming. So everything I'm talking about is always for the same thing. We got to live till we're 100, be active, compress the morbidity, nothing like just dying without any suffering. And that'd be nice, but we're not dying. I mean, I talked to my wife today, and you don't hear when people say, oh, they died of old age. I don't hear that anymore. I hear that they died of a stroke. They had complications from surgery. There's a whole bunch of crap that's gone. They're totally anxious or depressed, committed suicide. It's a shame. But anyway, that's what we got to deal with now. So thanks for watching up until this point. Put comments down below. See you next video.